Okay, everybody, today's mini lesson is on las comparaciones. And the best way to describe this is that we're going to take whatever word we're using, whether it's an adjective, an adverb, or a noun, to make a comparison against somebody else, and we're going to surround it with the earmuffs of más que, menos que, or tan como. So here we have the word alto, tall. To say taller than, we're going to say más alto que. Notice it acts like earmuffs, más que surrounding the adjective. Guapa, más guapa que. Fuerte, menos fuerte que. Inteligente, tan inteligente como. And simpáticos, más simpáticos que. So in English, we have two comparison forms. For adjectives with few syllables, we can simply add er to the end of the word, like tall, taller, big, bigger, smart, smarter. But then we have problems like fun, funner, no. So we have to have our second form. When we have words that are multi-syllable, we use the construction of more, and then we use the adjective. For example, more intelligent, more hardworking, more interesting. We know we're not going to say intelligenter, hardworkinger, interestinger. So we can't just put an er on any word, and we can't just always put more in front. You would never say more tall, more big, more smart. So English has to consider both ways, er or more. For Spanish, we only have the one form. It's going to be the more form. That er form does not even exist. So step one, start by identifying the simple descriptive statement. For example, what are you trying to express? If your idea is ultimately that he is taller than she is, your simple idea is that he is tall. So start with that basic Spanish. Él es alto. Once we have that established, then we can start adjusting things as need be. So you can see here in blue, I've taken he is tall, and that's the simplest idea that we're trying to describe. It's about him being tall. In this case, it's the English er, but it doesn't make a difference in Spanish because, like we said, it's going to be más que, menos que, or tan como. This is showing superiority, inferiority, equality. So, más que will act like earmuffs around the word tall. Menos que would do the same thing, or tan como. Make sure you have the adjective agreement in number and gender when we surround the adjective with earmuffs. So because he is tall, he is a boy, we're going to use the form alto. Él es alto. That's my simplest idea. Surround it with más que. He is taller than they are. In this example up here, it said she is, but it's the same idea. Que ellas. And so what we've done is, alto is referring back to él es alto. That's our original sentence. All we've done is shift things around by putting the earmuffs of más que in there. So, regular comparisons will be más que, menos que, tan como. More than, less than, as blank as. Now, if you did a word-for-word translation in Google, más would be more, and que typically means that. Or if we have an accent mark, it can mean what. Here's a new meaning for the word que, which is than, T-H-A-N, the comparison. Menos que, less than, and tan como, as blank as. There are a few irregularities that happen in Spanish, just like in English. For example, we can't say good, gooder, bad, badder. We have to have a different form altogether. And this is where it's a little tricky because these irregulars, which are only 4, we have their own form. So we're not going to say más bueno que. It just simply becomes mejor. So bueno, good, mejor, better. Malo, bad, peor, worse. Joven, young. Menor, younger. Occasionally you'll hear somebody say más joven que, but it's better just to say menor, menor que, mejor que, peor que. Notice there's no más or menos anywhere in that structure. And then old, viejo, we're going to say mayor. Those 4 are the only ones we need to worry about. Otherwise, unless it's good, bad, young, or old, we're going to use the structure más que, menos que, tan como. The irregulars, bueno, mejor, malo, peor, joven, menor, viejo, mayor. Your turn for practice. So you have 6 sentences here. Remember, start with the most basic idea. So for the first one, what are we trying to express? We want to talk about that he is tall. Start with that, and we're going to say, él es alto. Then we'll surround it with the appropriate earmuffs of más and que, so it becomes él es más alto que, and then we just have to simply add the finish, ella. Unlike in English, we have two ways in English where we could say this. You might say, he is taller than she is, or you might say, he is taller than her. In Spanish, we're simply going to say, he is taller than she, and we don't include the verb at all. Él es más alto que ella. Go ahead and pause the video, see what you can do. Great job. Hopefully you've seen these as your responses. I use the word alto so that way we can see the comparison all the way through. Because alto is referring to he, it's in the masculine form here, alto. Now because alta is referring to the she, it's in the feminine form, ella. Remember, the original sentence was ella es alta. We surrounded it with the earmuffs of más and que to make our comparison. Él es más alto que ella. Ella es más alta que él. Somos más altos que ustedes. Uh-oh, what happened here? Now we have to make it plural because nosotros somos. It's the plural form. I am not as tall as he is. Yo no soy tan alto como él. Maybe you said, yo no soy tan alta, which would be fine. That's the feminine form. I put the masculine form because we're referring back to yo. Has nothing to do with él, has nothing to do with ella. It's referring to the first person mentioned, right? This is the original structure. Él es alto. Somos altos. Ella es alta. Son más altas que nosotros. Because they're feminine, altas goes back to the ellas son. You are shorter than I am. I assumed gender here and said tú eres alto, but you could have said alta if you were talking to a girl. Okay, amigos, that's the end of this lesson on las comparaciones. Muchas gracias.